Welcome to Gen Z Hoops, the Gen Z basketball, coaching, and sports business show. On this podcast, you'll learn from professional players, coaches, and executives from all over the world and see the court in a brand new way. And now, joining you courtside, your Gen Z host, John Harder-Phillips.
Cody, man, what's going on?
Pretty good. Over yourself?
Doing great. Really excited to have you on. It's crazy to think that we met at Summer League, but didn't really meet at Summer League because we didn't really talk to each other, but we were both there. We knew we were both there. We were trying, we knew each other from LinkedIn, kind of saw each other. You saw me talking to Coach Ryan and Addie, and then that we were far away. It's kind of funny how it all comes full circle. We started talking after Summer League a little bit more. It's really funny how that happened. And, we knew each other, just didn't really work out. And we didn't get to see each other, but we've been talking since then. And there's so much. And you knew this too. We kind of both figured this out. You didn't know how old I was. You thought I was 25. We both thought we reached 25, and you're 21. I'm 21. So that's just really crazy how we're both the same age. Both thought we were each way older. We each thought we were in our mid 20s. So that's got to be a pretty good sign on what we're doing here. But yeah, just really awesome thinking about that and going on this basketball journey. Both being the same age. It's really, really cool. Tell our listeners a little bit about. We both have a lot of similarities in these stories, but talk to us about maybe where this passion came from, because it's going to go from you being, I'm just predicting it right here. You being 12, 13, 14 to 21. It's going to take us 30. It's going to take us a while to get through that. A lot of guests are older and it takes us, we kind of zoom through the years. You're doing a lot every single year. So talk to us about that.
The first time I actually had a idea of me wanting to coach and everything was 11 years old. It was fifth grade. So fifth grade summer, actually going into sixth grade. And I realized that I wasn't so good as a player, but I loved the game. And I failed a lot, as a player. And that kind of went into middle school and high school, teams and everything that I played for. And, I just loved the game. I wanted to stick around, and I kind of just grinded every day and trusted the process. And I was actually lucky enough to, make the team every year, play on a varsity floor later years in high school. And I just knew, ever since that summer going into sixth grade, I was you know what, I want to be a coach. I accept that I'm not a good player and I just love the games. And what's better than, helping people become better as a coach, and changing people's lives. And that can go high school level, college level, European, NBA, NBA G League, anything. So it's all about changing lives and helping them, and helping everyone, just not just players, but coaches, you probably know all about that. So
it's a pretty good feeling. I love you talking about that transition for you, because I've dealt with the same thing, right? Being 16, 17, only thinking about playing. And then you have that maybe switch to where you want to impact lives and do stuff like that. So talk to us about that inflection point for you, where you realize that, as much as you enjoyed playing and having that, it's time to hit the sidelines maybe and get a head start. A lot of people wait until they're in their mid 20s, like we were talking about. You were doing it at 18, 19 years old. So talk to us a little bit, please, about that.
So I had the opportunity to play college. Well, I got a scholarship and everything, and I declined it because, I was why do I need to waste time playing? And I don't want to do that. So, I'm a firm believer of as long as you love what you're doing, then keep doing it. So I was I love coaching. And obviously I didn't coach until I was 18. So I just had that idea. I got that high school job at Olathe Northwest, luckily just from email and, calling people and calling coaches I already knew from being a player. And it just kind of transitioned into that. I loved it. I was a freshman boys head coach there. So it was definitely difficult for my first coaching gig. So, making your own practice plans. And I even worked with the film stuff and had them study film a little bit. That's usually not a freshman boys basketball type of deal, but I just wanted to be different and, help them have more success and have them in an environment hey, this is how it's going to be in the varsity level or even the college level if you get to make it that level, because I kind of had a big idea of varsity, obviously you're going to watch film. In college, you watch so much film. Just kind of went through that and had some trials and errors, obviously, as a coach my first year in high school, but learned from it and just became a better person and better coach from it.
Okay, we got to get into this big time because I know that we're from two different places. We didn't even get to meet each other in person at summer league, but I didn't know that at all. I didn't know you gave up a scholarship to continue coaching. So take us. I mean, that was all awesome, but you got to please tell us a little bit more about that decision for you. Because I'm imagining a lot of people were telling you like, dude, take the money, go have fun in college and go play ball on a scholarship. What was that like for you then? That must have been a tough decision, man.
It was definitely tough because you don't know, like, okay, if I accept it, then obviously that's like, I'm there playing. But if I decline it, you really don't know what's ahead. And sometimes in life, you just have to take chances for what you want, because I've always said that nothing is guaranteed until it actually happens. So, it's just taking chances in life, not just in coaching and, what we're doing right now, like just in life in general. And that's for everyone in the world. I just go with your gut. And I mean, I kind of had some family that I talked to about it, obviously, like, I was like, hey, what do you guys think I should do? And they're like, well, what do you want? I said, well, I want to coach. And they're like, okay, then decline it and go coach. Obviously, I had a couple of other friends and former coach and everything, and all these other coaches like, hey, you coaches saying, hey, like, go take it, take this scholarship and go play. Like, it just came down to the bottom of like, what do I want and what is going to help me in general for the future where I want to be. So I took that risk and it worked out.
Wild to think about that, and it's really cool to see that whole story take shape. I think that's incredible. But then, right, going into, you talking about your first year coaching, so that's a huge leap of faith. I mean, you didn't even know if you had a coaching job yet. So talk to us about reaching out to people and trying to make that work.
Well, I started emailing a lot of coaches, high school coaches, just around the area. And, I started calling their office numbers and just asking like, hey, like, I'm willing to volunteer, like, I just want to get my feet wet and start coaching. And then Olathe Northwest head coach, Michael Grove, he's been there for a while. He actually coached Willie Cauley-Stein, that's in the NBA now. Michael's a great dude, but he called me in the summer, and of that, it was 2019. Yeah, going into the summer of 2019, I was taking college classes online, and I was like, hey, I'm willing to do anything. And at first, he was like, okay, let's have you be a volunteer. I went to everything this summer and did like all the preseason stuff. And when sometimes he wasn't able to be there, so I went there for the varsity team and JV team just to watch him like lift weights and like run that stuff and supervise. So that's kind of being there when no one else could be, like coaches being like out of town or like busy. Like, I was always willing to go, so that kind of helped me get the job there. And then later on, when the season was about to start, he was like, hey, like, we're gonna pay you. It wasn't like good salary or anything, but I was just like blessed to have the opportunity, because like in this business, it's not about the money, like, ever. It's, you got to truly love it. So and that was actually one of the things that I learned. Like, I hear a lot of things of coaches saying like, oh yeah, there's a lot of money in the business, but once you actually do it, take all the outside noise out of it, you really understand, like, you got to love the game. It's not truly about the money at all. That's just on the side.
Great way to look at it, and that's really what gets right. Like that's so super like touching to me, because I feel the same way, and you definitely embody that by the sacrifices you've made to coach the way you are, and by the hard work you've put in by doing what no one else wants to do, to get to that next level, and to make your head coaches happy, and to stay within good programs. That's awesome. Thinking about that, and you doing that at the high school level. The one thing, actually, let's go into before going into any all the things you're doing in college now, which is mind blowing. Let's kind of look back at some, and I'm curious, maybe your first year coaching, your second year coaching, were there any games that stood out to you? I know we were talking before we started recording about the differences between New York and Kansas basketball, high school basketball. We have a shot clock, you guys don't. There's a couple other small nuances and differences, but what was there any game or a player or something that really stood out to you and made you learn a little bit more about how to improve yourself as a coach?
I learned a lot from our rival game. It was in Olathe West. It was on Valentine's Day of 2020. And it was a tied up game with 2 minutes left. And, me as a young coach, I was like, hey, like, let's keep on trying to score. I learned that, if you don't have a shot clock, use it as your advantage. So I learned that, well, from before I get to that, but I told our guys to, like, keep playing and everything, and they actually ended up getting the turnover. So then Olathe West coach says, "Hey, let's run out the clock." They run out the clock and then get a wide open layup in overtime. That was kind of, especially on Valentine's Day, you're like, you gotta win. It's the love day. You gotta love the game and you want to win. So I kind of learned from that, like, hey, take advantage of opportunities that you like see in front of you, even though, like, and that's kind of one thing about film too. Like, I had our guys and watched that film after that game, and I was like, that's on me. That's 100% on me for telling you guys to keep on playing. And obviously you still want them to move around and everything, but like I was telling them to, like, go score. Like, it's tied up. Like, I wasn't as smart as I am now, but that's definitely a learning experience I've had. I've had a lot more too, but that one stuck with me for a while.
I really appreciate you sharing that with us, because obviously it might be hard to look back on some of the negative experiences, but if you use them as a learning experience, they're not really that negative, right? You can use them as a positive and use them for growth and for improving yourself as a coach. So I love that. And thinking about that, and I shared some before we got on with you too about myself, and remembering the one time I kept us in we had a 1-3-1 zone that got us a 10-point lead, and then we started that 1-3-1 zone started getting lit up, and then I was like, you know what, let's stay. It got us here. Let's stay, and it didn't really work. I ended up losing that one. A couple other games were small. So those small changes, you remember those, and I'm remembering this like 3 years after the fact. Makes me a better coach, makes you a better coach. It's really awesome thinking about all those small things that do that. Now we're getting to the good stuff, though. Now we got to transition into sometimes with college programs. So please tell us a little about, now, number one, how you ended up with a college program while you're still in college. Let's just say there's no number two. Number one, how did you find yourself working in a college program while you're still in college?
It kind of started with COVID, really. Not knowing what to expect for the next season. My boss, the head coach at Olathe Northwest, and I kind of had like a conversation, and he was like, go for it. Go for college. And I took COVID as an advantage, because I just didn't want to sit around, like everyone else was, and just like not do anything. So I realized that everyone was at home during COVID, and I was like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to start emailing coaches, and if I can find their cell phone number, or some type of number that they can answer, write that down and call them. So I actually ended up emailing 352 coaches, and that's JUCO, NAIA, D3, D2, and even D1. And I only got back 2 emails responses, and one was from Ryan Moody, my boss right now, the head coach at Benedictine College for the men's team. And, he was willing to take a chance and for me, and, give me an opportunity, and it worked out. And, later in the year of 2020, I ended up actually getting a volunteer assistant coaching position over there, and just went from there.
Love hearing about that, and it's really inspiring. It's funny, right? I thought you were much older than you were. You thought I was older than I was. Like, it's funny thinking about how getting ahead of the game and starting those opportunities early is great. And hearing that story about how you got there is awesome. What are maybe some of your duties? Like, what does it maybe look like for you on a normal game day, either a game day or with practices? I know the season's coming up soon, and you've been super busy.
Well, I mean, I try to help out everywhere I go, like, even though, like, I try to tell guys this, like, even though if you're a video coordinator or just like an assistant coach, you can help the assistant coach do like scouting stuff, or if you're assistant coach, go help the video coordinator do stuff. Like, you can't just do one thing and be like, this is my only job. Like, some people might think that, but I'm a firm believer, like, if we're on a coaching staff, we got to help everybody out. Like, even players, obviously we're helping the players out, but let's make it easier for the coaching staff and help everyone if anything's needed. So I really just do everything. Like, I try to help with like the video side stuff, in practice. I like help with the drills and, guard some of our guys sometimes when they're trying to pass into the post, and just create that pressure. And during games, most games I usually do the shot chart. So like, if if we make or miss a shot, I'm charting it down, and then at halftime I am writing, like counting all of it down, and then I'll go to the head coach and say, hey, like we went for 8 for 25 in the first half at the 3-point line, or we shot 44 times all together in the first half, so that type of stuff. But overall, I just try to help out with everything, because it's a grind and it's a process, and you won't learn if you just stick with one thing. So, and that's kind of one thing I've learned. Like, the more you're involved with other things in the coaching world, the better, because you get to experience it, you get to fail at it, and you get to learn from those failures. And it's kind of taking a risk too. Like, I might not know everything about this, but go try to help as much as I can.
Really cool thing about that, and you taking those steps to be the best version of yourself and always keep on improving. What are some of the ways that you keep yourself sharp and to keep on being the best coach you can be? I'm sure there's a bunch of resources out there. We've been talking about a few in the past of ways that you've really been able to hone in on that skill of coaching and keep on improving it every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just trying to learn as much as you can, because like I'm always on YouTube looking up drills for like player development stuff, and trying to just gain my knowledge for the game, because I'm a firm believer that like even you could be the head coach of the Lakers and the best coach and everything, but like you can still learn. You can still learn. You can still, have failures, and you can still learn from that. So you never can like know everything. So that's kind of how I believe. And I'm always on, YouTube looking up like what's the best way to use synergy, because we use synergy. Most colleges do, but looking into like the G League and everything, where I want to be one day. I do study like with sports code a lot too, because I'm a firm believer that you always got to be prepared for the next job you want. Obviously you can't be fully 100% understanding of what that job is, that next job, but it's better to be prepared for at least a little bit than not be prepared at all. It's kind of like a game, like you got to scout like that other team and prepare, and tell the players everything about, and just prepare, because you feel better being prepared going into the game than walking in blind. That's a little bit about it.
I'm sure. And I mean, when I was talking about resources, I mean, sure, right? You're using YouTube, you're Googling stuff. We're talking about Grow the Game and a few other ones that you really liked. What have those been like? And would you recommend something like that to any other young coaches that are really trying to get better?
Yeah, I definitely recommend Grow the Game. I mean, it's more of student assistants and student managers trying to just connect and everything, and it's free. And I mean, I would just reach out to them if you're interested. It's kind of just a networking thing. Every month you get paired up with someone, and I mean, like this past month I actually got paired up with a former G League head coach. So I mean, you just never know who you're going to meet from that. And I definitely recommend looking it up and checking it out for sure, because it won't hurt, especially us young guys. Like it won't hurt connecting with other guys and coaches and stuff. So go for it.
You didn't tell me about the former G League assistant, so I'm definitely have to check that out. That's big time, dude. So
yeah,
I might get a few more guests from Gen Z from Grow the Game. So I'll definitely be looking at that. You sent it to me a while ago, but now I got to go all in. If I not knowing that, for anyone listening, you got to check that thing out. Or maybe we keep between the two of us, Cody. I don't know. Now we got to share the game too. We got to share the game with everybody. Whoever wants to get better and is going to put the work in, we'll share that knowledge with them and get everyone on the same page. Awesome thinking about those and all those ways you're using to get better. What's your final goal? Is it always is it coaching at the right? You did it. You've coached at the high school level. You coached at the college level. Is there something after that? Is the college level more your style? The G League, the NBA? Is it always going to be coaching? Is it ops? Is it like what is next for Cody Reynolds? You think in the next few years?
In the next few years, hopefully, G League assistant coach. I mean, I'm pretty good with the video side, but I definitely want to be assistant coach in the G League. I mean, at least experience it. Because like you said a couple seconds ago, I've coached in high school, I've coached in college now, so and might as well try to get to the highest level when you're doing the profession. and that's in any profession. So like for us coaches, why not try? And I hear a lot about like, oh, you can't make it to the NBA if you don't have like all these, family connections. That's not true. Like if you put in the work and get your connections, you will have a better chance of getting there. And you just, and that's kind of with the failure side. Like obviously a lot of people won't talk to you and a lot of people will. So it's like just taking a risk. Like I mentioned earlier, just, you just got to take a risk, go for it, but hopefully the G League assistant coaching job, I'm hoping to get in that like at least in at most 5 years. But you got to trust the process. And like I said earlier, like nothing is guaranteed until it actually happens. So you just got to have faith and trust your gut and make the right decisions, go from there and keep connecting with guys.
I think there's a pretty solid chance that happens before that 5-year window you're putting in. Like a lot of people, Gary Vee's a person I listen to a lot, and he says a lot about never putting in because that builds anxiety putting these strict timelines. But the thing is, it's always fun to think about that because that there's so much room to grow in that. It could happen in a year or 2 years, and it's like it doesn't really matter when you keep putting positive energy out there. The world's going to reward you in the end. So I'm really hyped about that for you. I think it's going to go well. We got to get you to I was in Kansas, funny enough, only a month and a half ago for the I told you. For the show.
I remember.
Crossroad Elite Invitational. Next time you're in New York, whether it's a Knicks game or something, we got to make that happen. That'll be a lot of fun. Or a bunch of our G League guys. The number of guests that from my show, from being in summer league and stuff, and go through the list. Whether it's of course Addy and Coach Ryan, from who are the people that you saw me talking to. Coach Greg Buckner, the GOAT. I could sing his praises I could say so many positive things about Coach Greg Buckner. And just so many other people that we both know. It's pretty funny how small this basketball world is when you really, really put yourself out there and really get to know it. That's why I made a face when you said how people might think you need to have connections or family or stuff. I made a face like that's not how it is. Like it's a false misconception that people can use to really make the basketball landscape seem negative. But it's not that at all, man. Not like that at all.
Exactly. It's just kind of just taking a risk, taking a chance, and you can't learn from it if you don't take the chance. So like even like summer league, like you mentioned summer league a little bit earlier. Like I worked summer camps all this past summer to go to summer league. I didn't know what to expect. That was my first year ever going. So I was like, you know what? I need to go here. And I know I want to. Obviously it was a different environment, but I just worked every single day with basketball camps with breakthrough basketball and Midwest elite basketball, and just took a chance because I was like, going to Vegas definitely like is something big. It's a lot of money, so it's like might as well go for it. Especially it's investing into your future. And that's with any profession. You gotta invest in it. Like invest your time, your money, everything to succeed.
So let's stay on that for a second, because that's what I think is super cool. We didn't get to talk about your basketball camps at all, but obviously that's what got you to summer league, and it's I tell everyone, and whatever it takes to get to summer league, do it. If it's working camps every day, if it's really grinding for a month or two to get the money to go to summer league, do it, because you won't regret it. Because even me, I spent a lot of money on summer league, sports business classroom. Like it added up. My credit card bill was pretty fat, but put in like that was something I knew I had to do, and I would have paid for it 2-3 times over, because the connections I got from there are worth a lot more than dollars and cents. That's just for me talking in terms of who I met there and how great that was. But talk to us a little bit about that basketball camp game, because some of the best advice I've ever got on this show, I would say the best advice, was from, because I took it and I saw the results, was Nick Lage, just the GM of the Mexico City Capitanes, telling me, John, it's the basketball camp game. It's working as many camps as you can, showing your face everywhere. That's 89% of the battle. You can get a B+ in life by just showing up and having good energy. To get an A, you need some skill. Yes. To get that A+, you need some skill to get a 90 or above. But 89% of life is showing up. Talk to us about you showing up and putting your best effort into all these camps and what that did for you.
It helped a lot. I found my coach's voice when I was doing those camps, like how you instruct drills and everything. And a couple of the guys I actually worked with that were college coaches as well, still are today, they showed me drills that I never even saw. So it was like, growing my knowledge in the game. And I got to go to Minnesota, South Dakota, Colorado, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa. I believe there was one in Wisconsin as well, by Milwaukee. So it's just, it wasn't just like coaching everything and, meeting other people, but it was traveling the world and doing what you love to do. It's kind of just, that's kind of how it is, just working camps and loving what you do. I just took a risk. I didn't know like how it was going to be like in Wisconsin or Minnesota or even Colorado. Cause like in my camp in Colorado, I was surrounded by mountains, it was like in the middle of nowhere. So I was like, wow, like this is different. Like if I wasn't doing camps or even in basketball, I would have never went here, like, so it was definitely a fun experience as well. I actually had my first camp when I turned 21, my first day of camp, and we went to Colorado, and that was kind of where I started. So, turning 21 and doing what you love is great. It was kind of hard for me, like, not being around family during that time, because obviously, like you're turning 21 and that's big. That's a big birthday to have, but you got to have sacrifices, and that's kind of one learning experience I actually had. Like, hey, you got to sacrifice your time, and sometimes, obviously you'll get to see family, but you gotta be all in.
That's awesome, because we're having this conversation now talking about going to Vegas and turning 21. And for a lot of people, those two things go together. You go to Vegas when you turn 21 and your 21st birthday to go have fun and go get lit. But we're talking about Vegas for professional reasons for summer league. And you're talking about 21 in terms of how you're at a basketball camp in the woods, getting kids better at ball and growing yourself and in your skill set. So I think that's incredible. And you're going to be, I know you're going to be successful, not because of what you've done so far or anything like that. It's because of what you've sacrificed to do what you've done so far. That's what's really key to me in knowing that, okay, Cody Reynolds is going to achieve his dreams in the basketball world by doing what he's doing. So Cody, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and for sharing this with us, because there is so much in here that's inspiring to young coaches who are saying, you know what, it's been tough for me. I can't get over the hump. This is how you get over the hump, guys. It's Cody spilled it out for you guys, right? It's making those sacrifices, investing in yourself and your career, and good things will happen. Thank you, Cody.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Gen Z Hoops. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all major social media platforms at Gen Z Hoops. You can tune in and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and every other podcast platform on the planet. Get ready for the next episode.